Good evening and thank you for joining us. City Council has adopted the city's new strategic plan, but not without some pushback during last night's meeting. There was a significant amendment to the plan that'll shape Council's decisions until 2027 that puts more focus on the growth of the city. Vasilios Bellos is following the story and joins us live in studio. Vasilios.
Thanks, Ryan. Prior to the amendment, some council members said the plan doesn't move the city in the right direction. Others around the table argued it wasn't as detailed as strategic plans from other municipalities, something that may affect how Thunder Bay attracts new residents and businesses. City Council has adopted its new strategic plan that'll help guide decisions until 2027, though not before adding a goal councillors felt was crucial to Thunder Bay's future.
This is all fine and dandy, but this really doesn't move the city in the direction that we need to go in.
When first presented with the Mama Way Growing Together strategic plan, it focused on three main pillars. Those included improving relationships with Indigenous communities, prioritizing safety and well-being, and focusing on prosperity and sustainability. Council decided to add more of a focus on growth in the city, something many around the table felt was lacking in the plan.
We can't continue to raise taxes to pay for everything. We need to grow the city. We need to find alternative sources of income, and this really doesn't have any of that.
Before adding the growth pillar, there was a debate about referring the plan back to administration, though it was eventually voted down.
Quite frankly, the city hasn't grown for not 5 years, not 10 years, not 20 years.
Northwood Councillor Dominic Pascolino agreed adding growth in the city, including housing developments, as a crucial point, but felt a referral would have prevented council from beginning to achieve goals in other areas of the plan.
I don't want to be a year and then some into my council term and not have actually started to work on the nuts and bolts and making this thing work.
There were some around the table who were disappointed with the plan itself. That includes Councillor Rajni Agarwal, who brought Sudbury's strategic plan to the meeting to compare, believing businesses and residents consider these documents when deciding next moves.
Maybe if I'm opening up my roof, I can go anywhere, but I'm going to go where they're organized and they're ready compared to what we have here for 4 pages.
Council ultimately decided to add a fourth pillar to the strategic plan, focusing on growing the city and developing housing. Administration vowed that even with this additional pillar, it'll still be able to begin developing more specific metrics to achieving other goals in the plan. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Also during that meeting, Council backed off of 2 controversial cuts recommended by administration, but a nearly 50-year-old committee wasn't so lucky. 2 transit routes, including one that serves Fort William First Nation, were spared at the meeting. Council also decided against closing Nebing Arena for this winter season, but that could still be on the table next year. The single cut last night, saving $25,000 annually, came from the dissolution of the Sister Cities Committee. The committee itself recommended that. Chair Matthew Villela says there's too many other tough budgetary decisions for Council to make.
When things are getting cut that affect our community, that affect people's lives, cutting essential services and things like movie in the parks, maintenance of parkettes, bus routes, EMS stations. How do we compete with that? We are volunteers, but we are also stewards and voices of the City of Thunder Bay. City of Thunder Bay is in a really difficult situation.
The Sister Cities Committee was established in 1974. It will officially be dissolved on August 31st. The move ends Thunder Bay's formal ties with communities in Minnesota, Finland, Japan, and China. A video posted to social media is raising concern about police use of force in Sioux Lookout, and a warning viewers may find this video disturbing. The video shows a woman on her knees being punched by an officer before fighting back. The officer then appears to step back and tase the woman twice. Sioux Lookout OPP have defended the officer's conduct, saying the video captures only a portion of the July 10th incident and that the responding officer selected the most appropriate use of force. According to police, a 23-year-old woman from Casablanca Lake First Nation was detained for trespassing and became combative, punching and grabbing at the weapons on the officer's belt. They say the officer deployed the taser as a last resort to gain control and ensure public safety. Police charged the woman with assault with the intent to resist arrest. Police have also charged a 34-year-old Sioux Lookout woman with obstructing a police officer after they say she attempted to interfere. The Thunder Bay Police Services Board has tasked its new Labor Relations Committee with handling employee grievances. The board set the terms of reference for the committee at this morning's meeting. The Labor Relations Committee was established in January in response to recommendations made by the Ontario Civilian Police Commission. The board will still have some input, as a memo will be provided regarding each grievance case, but the goal of the new committee is to build a stronger relationship between the board and police service members.
We did find it important that we did have the autonomy to hear the grievances, because we thought it would create an issue in the future if grievances were then just going straight to the board rather than being dealt with at the committee level. So hoping to make that process very tight and we be seen as the authority for hearing grievances.
I also think there's some grievances which raise much broader issues than others. Have the members of the board be provided with copies of the grievance so that in the event that they either want to comment to the committee or alternatively to take action at a board level, they can.
The board also extended the collective agreement for civilian employees until the end of the calendar year, continuing the 4 days on, 4 days off, 10-hour schedule. Some Ontario grocery stores have quietly stopped selling alcohol. It's due to a growing number of thefts and razor-thin profit margins. Siobhan Morris explains.
Pick one.
It was the dawn of a new day for alcohol sales in Ontario.
Thank you very much.
Buying beer and wine at the grocery store. 8 years later, the Retail Council of Canada says a handful of bigger stores have pulled booze from their shelves.
We have huge incidents of theft taking place, and so grocers are actually losing money when they sell beer and wine.
The group, which speaks for big grocers, says Ontario's sales framework limits margins to an average of 2%.
It does not cover the cost for the retailer, especially when you're looking at today's environment where we're seeing increases in input costs.
So a few grocers are deciding it isn't worth their financial while to keep alcohol in stock.
All of this comes as the government consults on where to go next with alcohol sales. The Premier has renewed a commitment to put booze in corner stores. The head of the Ontario Convenience Stores Association feels they can succeed where grocers have faced challenges.
The average margin in an LCO, which is an agency store that are in convenience and small grocery stores around rural Ontario, is about 10%.
Brian's isn't worried about corner stores being vulnerable to theft. While he says it's an issue everywhere,
I think the grocery business has left it wide open with self-serve checkouts, less people on the floor to help them, whereas a family-run convenience store, they watch the door pretty close and they watch the customer movement very close.
Grocers will be pushing for changes to make selling alcohol more viable.
Increase the assortment that grocers are able to sell. Right now, they're limited in terms of what they can put on their shelves, and limited in terms of the size that it can be in.
Keeping choice for shoppers available in more places. Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
The local woman who heads up the Ontario Native Women's Association is in Africa this week. Cora McGuire-Surrett is advocating for the rights of Indigenous women on a global stage at the Women Deliver conference in Rwanda.
This is my first time in Africa, and the people here have been just nothing but kind and beautiful, welcoming.
McGuire-Surrett and other Onwa representatives are participating in the conference's sessions to find solutions to the pressing challenges that women face. Specifically, McGuire-Surrett is advocating for policy changes that improve the safety of Indigenous women and their inclusion in the decision-making process that impacts their lives.
This real change needs to come from solutions designed and developed by the community or the people that are facing the issues. And in our case, this is Indigenous women. And so Indigenous women, in Canada, in Thunder Bay, in Ontario, they're the ones who are facing a number of the issues. And they are also the experts to the solutions that are needed.
The Women Deliver conference runs until Thursday. A current riverman took a big risk yesterday morning when he decided to help a skunk that got its head stuck in a glass jar. Jack Lammer's wife spotted the animal in a serious predicament and urged him to help. Mike Lang has that story.
The skunk can see me through the jar, so I realize I'm gonna get sprayed.
Jack Lammers was facing a tough decision on Monday morning after his wife noticed the neighborhood skunk moving around strangely outside their home on Merrill Street.
And it's out after sunrise, so she thought it was odd, so she gets a little closer to it and she sees there's a glass jar on its head. So she calls me out to come and help, and of course I see the jar too, and I realize she's not gonna make it. Either she's gonna suffocate, or an animal's gonna get her, or she's gonna get hit by a car. So my wife smirks at me and says, well, go pull the jar off its head.
Lammers says he grabbed the garden hoe and followed the skunk a couple of doors down to try to pull the jar off. His wife was there getting this crazy situation on video, but his first attempt just wasn't working, and at one point, the skunk turned its tail towards Lammers, causing both of them to back up quickly. That's when he decided to try a different strategy.
And of course I can't get it, and I figured if I pin the jar to the ground, the skunk might pull its own head out. So on the second attempt, I get the jar pinned down, the skunk pulls its head out, looks left, looks right, locks eyes with me, and I realized I gotta get out of there because it's gonna spray. So I ran, and it ran in the bush, sprayed, and everybody was good.
Lammers and his wife didn't stick around to see if the skunk was okay, and fortunately, neither of them got sprayed. Lammers says he was prepared to suffer the consequences and sleep in a tent in their backyard for a week if things turned stinky.
Do you think that the skunk did not spray you, possibly because the skunk was thankful that you saved its life?
I like to think so. I hope so anyways.
Mike Lang, TBT News.
What a story there. Local kids got a chance to learn a little bit about dogs today, thanks to Puppy Story Time at the Brody Library. Husky mix Oakley made a solo appearance at the library as her usual co-star wasn't feeling well. The dozens of kids in attendance were thrilled to hang out with a 6-month-old rescue while enjoying a children's story. Oakley will soon graduate from dog trainer Tammy Williams' Puppy Perks program. Bringing the puppies to the library helps them get used to being around kids and gives the kids a chance to learn more about the dogs.
The kids, we like to talk a lot about dog safety and what to do or not do when you're approaching a dog or when a dog's approaching you. And I think they learned a lot of really great patience because Oakley didn't necessarily want to be approached today. And they were really good about staying back and letting her decide whether she wanted to interact.
Dogs put their ears up when they're happy, and they put them down when they just want you to go away, and they get a little bit scared or startled by little kids.
And if they're jumping up on you, you need to look like a tree and look very boring so it goes off. And if you get super excited and everything, they'll really want to jump on you.
How cute was that puppy?
Really cute.
A little bit cute or a lot cute?
Yeah, cute. It's super cute. Yeah. Very cute. So cute. Very cute.
The kids all say they hope to come back to Puppy Story Time again. The event runs every second Tuesday for the rest of the summer with different puppies coming out each time. Well, I wish we could just talk about that all day long, Mitch, but we've got to turn our attention to the weather now. A little cooler than normal today, and we did see some rain as well.
Yeah, unlike the puppies, the weather not so cute. Temperatures a little cooler today, around 4 below average. For the high averages, around 24 for this time of year, 19 today. Low of 12 earlier in the day. That's when we saw a little bit of rain making its way through the area on and off throughout the day. The wind not picking up too much from the northwest, and we did see plenty of cloud coverage, especially later in the day. Now out west, pretty clear throughout the day. Clouds starting to roll into Fort Frances. Temperature rising, the high 21 for the day currently right now. They are expecting thunderstorms overnight, not bringing a lot of rain, but that is going to carry over heading into the morning. Atikokan and Upsala also could see some thunderstorms later in the night as the system starts making its way from west farther east. Now thunderstorms also making an impact in Red Lake and the Sioux Lookout area. Temperatures around 18, so still fairly cool throughout the day. It's not really warmed up too much whatsoever. Clouds in the area, and again, thunderstorms tonight could be pushing to Armstrong, but a low chance making its way all the way, especially farther north. Armstrong 17 with clouds in the area at the moment, while a little bit warmer in Greenstone at 20. It's going to be fairly clear throughout the night, while down in Sault Ste. Marie, temperatures up to 20 today, reached a high of 21, so cooling down just a little bit. Clouds in the area. It's expecting to clear up a little bit, but partly cloudy throughout the night. As for Thunder Bay, the rain not expecting to reach us at the moment. Just some low clouds in the area. Temperature is going to be dropping down a little bit cooler to 11, and the wind's going to pick up just a little bit from the northwest, 6 to 19 kilometers an hour. But as for that system that's moving farther east, it will impact Thunder Bay in the next couple days, as we are expecting some rain, and I'll have those details in just a little bit.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mitch. Well, there's some good news on the inflation front. It's dropped to the lowest level it's been in more than 2 years, but unfortunately, many people are not seeing that in the goods that they need the most, such as food. We'll have the details when your news hour continues right after the break.
Increases that suppliers at earlier steps were facing, them passing along those costs. They're just making their way through the supply chain.